welcome to episode 102 of BigRedBarel Geek Speak, a place for all your geeky needs on BigRedBarel.com. My name is Alex, I'm a self-appointed Baroness of Butts. I'm also the host of this episode, and this episode is exciting and weird because neither Lauren or Joe are here, because adulting, it sucks, but we do have two excellent guests, and the first one is the voice you've already heard, and hopefully love, well, although that's questionable, but it is Coleman, my brother!
Hi! What's that? Are you turning into Hulk Hogan?
I was trying to.
I like it. Just don't keep the racist elements and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You are a bit like Hulk Hogan without the Fu Manchu. Oh no, wait, Hulk Hogan had a Fu Manchu. It's fine.
Is that a compliment?
Nope.
Okay, fine. Okay, and moving on to another guest, a very special guest we have on the show. She's a YouTuber, she likes indie games, and she covers a lot of them for her channel. It's Jupiter.
Hello.
Hi, welcome to the show.
I know nothing about wrestling, so I don't know who you'd be like.
Oh no!
It's okay, I know nothing about wrestling either.
Not enough. Oh, you will.
I just repeat stuff he says and hope that's kind of right.
That's the way to do it, really. Minimal effort.
Exactly. Jupiter, just for those who might not know, what are kind of indie game jams and game jams in general, and what kind of stuff you do?
Game jams are challenges where developers have a specific time frame that they need to create a game in. Normally it's 24 hours to 48 hours to 72 hours. Though there are a lot of longer jams nowadays as well. Most of the time jams have a theme to follow or some sorts of restrictions that are the parameters to develop by. I cover loads of game jams, and I run indiegamejams.com, which is a calendar of all of the online and physical game jams going on around the world. And then I cover all of the games that were entered in them in a compilation video format, so every game gets its minute of feedback and its minute of visibility.
That seems like a lot of games.
Yeah, I've played over 20,000 Game Jam games in the last 5 years.
Wow. You know, actually, until I started following you, I did not realize how many game jams are out there. I thought there'd be one or two per year or something, but they're all of them in different, because they also happen online, but then they happen at major events and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, so Develop Brighton's a conference in England, and they have a game jam that goes on just during the talks and during the conference.
Nice.
There's tons of game jams just always happening. It's quite intense.
So how come you decided to cover game jams? It's a very specific thing to start your YouTube channel about.
So when I was about 16, I really wanted to be an indie developer because my best friend in the whole wide world was an indie developer and he made games and I thought that was so cool. And so I downloaded Game Maker and played around with it and found that I am not patient enough to create a game. So I entered a game jam because I figured it's a good challenge and it has an end time and I'll do it. It was a month-long game jam, which there weren't a whole lot of at the time. And I barely scraped together a game in a month and then it was I'm done. This is crap. And my friend, my very knowledgeable friend, said, there's game jams that are only 2 days or 3 days. And I went, no one can make a game in 3 days. What are you talking about? And he was like, no, there is. And he showed me Ludum Dare, and that's a huge popular game jam online. They get 3,000 entries at each, they're almost quarterly. They do 3 a year, almost quarterly. So I said that I wanted to, he suggested that I should cover them. And I said, well, how do I know which ones are the best? Because he said, cover your favorite. And he said, there's a voting system, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, but that might not be they might not be my favorites. They're not the best to me. I'll play them all. And it became sort of a challenge because he said I couldn't play them all. He said, there's thousands, you don't even know what you're doing. I was like, I could do it. It's been just a long-running challenge.
What are you covering at the moment?
At the moment, I'm still trudging through Ludum Dare because one of them just ended. The voting's almost over as well. But I play up to 600 games from that jam. So I'm still trudging through that. And the GMTK game jam, which had 700 entries, which is a ton. The low res jam just ended, which I'm very excited to cover because that's not only got a theme, but it also has some limitations in the type of game that you're making because it has to be a lower resolution. It has to be look like a game if it was 64 by 64 pixels.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow.
So tiny. But it can be scaled up, and I find those sort of less of a theme that everyone should follow and more of a restriction. I find those to be more interesting because there's a lot more creativity that goes into it, people following a theme. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, so that's actually kind of hinges on my next question. So do you prefer the game jams that have certain themes rather than just general, you just have like 2 hours to create a game or something crazy like that? And do you have like a favorite one that you're always looking forward to cover each year?
Well, I do like game jams that have sort of restrictions as opposed to themes, or like really creative themes. So like as opposed to one word. So some themes are like beach, for example, and loads of people make games inspired by a beach, and that's really cool. But I like ones that are more creative. So the GMTK theme was dual purpose mechanic. So you had to have a mechanic in your game that did two things. And so many really creative games came out of that because the theme isn't so much something that you're inspired by, it's a thing that you have to include in your game.
Right.
So I find those work a bit well. As far as game jams that I'm always looking forward to covering, the Familiar Game Jam is one of my favorites. It's a game jam that happens at a physical location in Spain, but also online. And they always have beautiful graphics, beautiful promo material, and then beautiful games. It's always one of my favorites. And I also really love the Proc Jam because it's so different. Proc Jam challenges developers to make something that makes something. So it's not even a game jam. It's just sort of a make something that uses procedural generation or random generation. But on top of all of the games and tools and assets that are made for the jam, they also do so much good in the indie gaming community. They have like a grant for people who want to make something with procedural generation. They create asset packs that are free to use. They create tutorials to help people get into procedural generation. They just do so much. It's such a good game jam to get into. I also very much like the My First Game Jam, just because in the same way of the Proc Jam creating so much more stuff, they have mentoring and they have sort of tutorials and like people that'll help you out, because the idea is it's your first game jam, you're just getting into this, so here's some support, and that's very needed.
The game jams that you talked about, is it something that people just do mostly online, or are they have like physical locations? Because I assume there's a mixture of that.
Proc Jam's a month long, so it's one of the longer jams, but they have like a talks day where you can go and listen to some talks and get inspired. Other than that, it's online. The Spanish Game Jam, the Familiar Game Jam's online and at a physical location in Spain. The My First Game Jam's online.
So yeah, because I'd imagine that'd be easier if they're trying to give support to other developers to be online rather than in a specific location, which limits your outreach a little bit.
Yes, and a lot of these game jams also have a Discord or a Slack so that people can go in there and chat and talk about problems and get advice.
Cool. As a kind of a game jam newbie, if people don't want to design games but kind of want to participate in just viewing or supporting the game jam, is there a way, or even just, play for the games that are there, is there kind of a standard way for them to do that?
Most game jams nowadays are online, either on Itch or on GameJolt, so you can go to my website and pick out a game jam, and then you can click on the Itch or GameJolt or wherever link from there, and you can see all of the information's there. Normally they have a hashtag on Twitter, so you can search the hashtag on Twitter and find GIFs of games that are entered, comment and reply and tell people they're doing amazingly, or you can check out their Itch.io pages, their GameJolt pages, play the games, and leave comments. Quite a few game jams have rating systems, so it depends on the game jam. So Ludum Dare, you can only rate games if you've made a game yourself, but there's a lot of game jams that just anyone can rate any of the games, so you could go through and just have your opinion shared with the game jam and help decide who won.
Okay, awesome. As for the developer side, I know some game jams are just like for fun and for testing ideas, but have you had that experience of covering someone's like real little tiny game jam game and then they've developed into something like proper that has, I don't know how long that takes. Maybe it's unrealistic to say that they've already made a game or something.
No, quite a few game jams are actually polished up and completed, which is always really interesting to see, because a lot of times the only thing that's left is the bare concept that happened during the jam, and I find that to be a very, very interesting thing to see, especially when you saw how raw and rough it is. So the biggest, I think, example in my head that sticks out is Party Hard.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great game. It was originally made for a GameJolt official game jam, though the old version has been removed. But I remember playing it when it was quite buggy, but a really great concept where it's sort of a game where it's top down and you lure people from a party to rooms where they'd be alone, and then you kill them, or you kill them with different weapons all around the room in really fun ways. And your goal is just to kill everyone. There's no real reason for it. There was nothing behind it. It was just kill everyone, super challenging. Cops come when someone's murdered and they try to find out who murdered them, so you could always be whisked away. There's tons going on. That that actually got polished up and finished, and now it's got like a whole storyline to it that's really captivating, and these like voiceovers that are intense and amazing, and more than one house party to go to. And then from there, they're actually making a Party Hard 2, which looks just as intense and just as amazing. And they made Party Hard Tycoon as well, which is like building the actual party. And there's just so much that have come from that little jam game. It's really quite amazing.
Yeah, I think the biggest example I've seen was Surgeon Simulator, because that initially started off as a game jam, and then I think they've built on that so much that the initial game is gone. But I remember the original glitchy, buggy version, and it had the theme tune to Casualty in there, and all the like copyrighted content that's all removed now. But yeah, it's quite impressive when you see a game jam, like a smaller game, suddenly develop into this huge commercial thing. So with I've got a question about your coverage. So how do you cover a game jam? Are you specifically checking out the games that they're creating, or is it interviews with the people there, or the event itself, or a mixture of all of it?
So, since there's so many game jams, I cover each one in a compilation video format where each game gets about a minute, unless it's a narrative game, then it gets quite a few more minutes. But in a compilation format, I play each game from the jam for a minute and string together the minute segments, 10 per video. I also do game developer spotlights, indie developer spotlights. So I've interviewed specific people who are like regular game jam attendees, and I've looked at the whole volume of work that they've created from jams and played every single game and come up with very specific questions about mechanics and the way that they've done stuff, to sort of talk about how they've grown through jams and how they've grown as a developer over the years.
Okay, well that sounds very cool. Do you want to say out all like kind of your link, your information for your YouTube channel, Twitter, and so on? And we'll also make sure that it is all in a description for this episode so people can go and check it out.
I'm at Jupiter_Hadley on Twitter. I'm Jupiter Hadley on YouTube, and I run www.indiegamejams.com, which is the calendar of all of the game jams.
And is there a way for people who like your work to support you as well?
Oh yeah, I have a Patreon. I'm Jupiter_Hadley on Patreon.
There you go.
Support my work.
Nice. Okay, so let's go into... Ooh, I'm starting to lose my voice for some reason.
Was that wrestling voice at the beginning?
I know, right? That's where all of it went. Let's start with the topics of the show, and we have quite a few. And I'm gonna start first with the VR game. Jupiter, how do you feel about VR? Like, dislike, meh?
I like VR games that are done well.
Good answer. Okay.
It's a small net, sadly.
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about Shooty Fruity, which is by Near Lights and Endreams, and I believe, Coleman, you talked about it briefly on BigRedBarel UK, so I apologize.
That's all right.
For your sake.
It's a good game.
Yeah, I thought so too. So, what is it? It's like a mixture between a little shooter and a job simulator, but the idea is that you're working in the supermarket, and throughout different levels, you're doing various different jobs, but the demo that we played, we were working at the counter, scanning different purchases through the scanner. And while you're doing that and scanning away and being busy, suddenly a mutated fruit start attacking you, and you have to shoot them down before they get too much damage. So it's a little bit of like a mayhem system, because you're trying to scan things and you're trying to pick up the guns. They're kind of rolling in front of you, and then there's also fruit jumping all about, and you have to do both tasks at the same time and figure out which one to prioritize at which time. And obviously different fruit, they have different powers, and they're little annoying ones that jump about and really hard to shoot. And then there is a big watermelon that's just slowly rolling around, but it's really huge.
Yeah,
and
it's like the tank.
Yeah, and like a big bullet sponge. I really liked it. I thought it was really fun. That was actually, I think that was the first or second time me using HTC Vive.
Oh.
I know.
Oh, you're getting used to it.
I know, it was good, but it really confused me because they positioned me, at the start of the demo, they positioned me one way, and I was like, the whole thing is happening behind me, and I was like, try to restart the demo, and then they were like, no, just turn around and keep going, and you'll be fine.
Alex. Yeah, they did the same with me, but I'm pretty used to these now. I use the Vive a lot, and I've got a question, actually, that sort of relates outside the game, because you have a PSVR.
Yes.
And the two move controllers. How is it once you've used a PSVR to go to the Vive, then go back to the PSVR? Because the motion controls especially aren't as polished as the Vive.
I don't know. I don't think I've played... Like, the demo was about 4 minutes long, and I played it twice. But I've played with PSVR controls a lot, and I'm kind of used to them. But I don't think I've played enough of Vive to really notice a significant difference.
Okay, we got to fix that.
More games. More games.
It's fine. I'll happily go and play Vive.
This one's interesting. Like you say, it draws a lot of influence from Job Simulator, especially. That was the main example that I was using on BRB UK, because it is the best one to compare it to, where you're picking up items, you're putting items aside, you're throwing items, and it all works very well in with the motion controls and sort of grip buttons and things. Everything's pretty tight in the way it moves. And then that's mixed with a VR shooter, which I guess you got to call it a VR shooter rather than a first-person shooter, because you're using motion control. Arcade shooter, maybe. That might be the way. Although that means something different. Anyway, so VR shooter, and you're using your motion controls. It allows you to do cool things like shoot either side with your arms out. I'm trying to do the things, I don't know why, because no one can see me. But it's those kind of motions, they're good at making you feel like you're a John Wick or in some kind of action film and moving around and stuff. And because it's on HTC Vive, we haven't tried the Oculus or the PSVR versions yet, but the Vive version especially, where it uses the whole lighthouse system and it's basically room scale tracking, that works so well in these types of games. And then you're then juggling the two of not quite item management, but item messing around, I guess, with the firing, trying to scan items. And then, because also, as well as the conveyor belt for the items coming through, you've got a similar conveyor lift above you that's just ferrying weapons constantly ahead of you, pistols and shotguns and magnums and grenades and stuff. So you kind of take your pick as they go past and start shooting. But what I found myself doing was grabbing a weapon, then storing it on the counter in case I needed the bigger weapon.
That's a
instantly.
good idea.
Yeah.
I didn't figure that one out.
But the problem is if you then go back to scanning shopping, you can quite easily like grab a tin of beans and accidentally smash all your weapons off the side of the till, which is what I did quite a few times.
Just buy weapons. I needed you, and now you're gone.
But there was a mechanic I wish they told me about before we started playing, because I was watching the trailer while I was doing my write-up, and there was literally a point where an orange starts bouncing towards the player, and they grab the orange out of the sky.
And then shot it,
Yeah, just held it to the gun and shot it. I was like, I wish they told me that was a thing, because I would have done that so many times. It looked very satisfying.
Yeah, I mean, we only had a really tiny slice of a game, and what I'm excited about and what they've promised even during that demo is that they're going to be crazier weapons to pick up, and you can upgrade, like, they can be... What's the mechanic? You can scan them, you can scan something, and you can add different bullets to them or different rounds.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool, and I'm looking forward to all the different types of fruits that can attack you. And obviously, I think the thing that would really sell that to me is the description of different jobs that you have to do and how you have to coordinate that.
I'd be interested to see where that goes, because the example we were given, I believe, was shelf stacking, as well as working on tills. But I, as someone who worked in a supermarket for several years, I'm interested to see just what they pull out to do this, because it's like, off the top of my head, I can only think of like 3 things we did at work. So
cleaning up stuff that's spilled.
Yeah, clean up.
Doing inventory. Getting deliveries.
Is it visceral space cleanup or something? That they can kind of take that mechanic where you're mopping and trying to shoot things at the same time. That'd be pretty cool.
I think that'd be pretty cool. And I think that the whole kind of the second item management, as you call, aspect of it, because if it was just only the shooting one in our household, where Tim pretty much buys every VR game that comes out on PSVR,
it's true,
we
I've
already...
seen it.
Yeah, that's true. Like, we already have a couple of just shooting games. Just look at Dick Wild, which was just really fun and really silly. But, you know, that kind of satisfies that corner already. I don't really need a silly shooter, because I do have Dick Wild. And if I want to play a shooter in my VR, that's what I'll go to. It's cool. It's already there. It does everything I wanted to do out of shooter. Crazy weapons, humor, crocodiles jumping at you. Like, tick, 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 you know? But this one adds another dimension to it. And another thing that I want to add is that, because I finished my demo a little bit early, and I picked behind the curtain to see Coleman play.
Oh, you didn't tell me that. Spying. That's like, I get the VR paranoia. I think when I've got a headset on, someone's creeping up behind me.
Well, they all probably are.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and it's really funny to watch someone try to shoot and scan things at the same time. Like the actions they do. and on the side of Coleman, it's really funny because when he messes something up, he also does this really weird, disappointing hand movement. It's like, oh, okay, I failed. Okay, I'm gonna do something. It's
what
really
the hell,
hilarious.
man? Leaking my VR secrets. I feel exposed. I don't like this.
Don't put on a headset in public.
No, yeah. Don't go to VR bars or whatever where we were.
But yeah, as I said, it's really funny. So I did ask them at the demo if they have currently plans to have a multiplayer or co-op element, because what I really loved about Endream's previous game that is not out yet, but is out very soon, called Bloody Zombies, is that there was that multiplayer format, and the format where you could be 2 players playing the game in VR and 2 players playing the game in non-VR, or all 4 players playing the game in VR, or even none of the players playing the game in VR. But that was that element that you didn't have to seclude yourself just because you had a VR headset and your friends didn't. And I thought that was really great. That was a really good point, like selling point of that game. And I almost wish that Shooty Fruity had kind of the same element of your friends messing out with you in a supermarket as well, because I think that just adds to the mayhem, and the mayhem is one of the best parts of that game, and adding another human element would just elevate that as well. But they don't have plans for that in the moment. Maybe at some point later, if enough people like me shout and say please. Or maybe not.
I think the problem you've got there is with these games especially, and again going back to Job Simulator, when you've got all these different mechanics for objects in a kind of sort of semi, I wouldn't say open world, but like movable, like something you can mess around with, a playground. If you're doing that, then if you add a multiplayer element in there, that's going to be more taxing on the system. And when you're trying to port across to all different devices, including the PlayStation, it might be where you're limited with being single player or multiplayer, I'd imagine.
Yeah, probably.
But it would be really cool if one person could do a different job where you're like checking out, someone can be mopping up all of the juice that comes out of these berries, but also throwing grenades out and stuff. It would be kind of cool.
I think it'd be good to, if you could have like 4 people, 3 people working, and then one person being like the overseeing manager. Kind of like one of the guilty pleasures of mine at the moment is watching YouTube videos on Microsoft Flight Simulator, and there are literally there are people playing pilot, but there are people in the control tower telling them like what runways they can land at and giving them permission to take off and stuff. Adding that element into that's the element I want in games now. Someone just kind of telling you what you're doing wrong, judging you, being your boss. I quite like that idea.
Just play Overwatch. There's plenty of people telling you you're doing everything wrong.
Just play anything on Twitch. The audience will tell you tell you how you're playing it wrong.
Yeah, you can really get that aspect of gaming satisfied there.
Can.
As I said, Shooty Fruity is for PlayStation VR, HTC Vive, Oculus Rift, and it's coming late 2017. So I'm sure there'll be more news released as we go further on about all the different levels and all the different stuff they have in the game, because I'm particularly looking forward to, as I said, about what kind of levels they have and what type of different fruit they have in their abilities. But so far, looks really cool, looks really silly fun and exciting, and fills that another niche. If you wanted to play Job Simulator while shooting at stuff, I guess you got it.
There you go.
Okay, so moving into second topic, and we have Original Journey. Jupiter, does it relate to Journey in any way?
No, this is the original.
Yeah, this is the
prequel.
Original. I don't know. I haven't played Journey. I played tiny little indie games that no one's heard of. But Original Journey, it's like a 2D hand-drawn sci-fi action-adventure game where you're an Atto, I think they're called, a sort of alien robot type thing that's on a mission to save their home world, which is made up of loads of floating islands. Basically, there's like these weird power sources that are called crystals. You need to collect them because it's what your weapons run off of, like it's how you upgrade stuff. It's an important part of your colony, I'm going to call them. And you sort of go from platform to platform, which are procedurally generated. Sorry, my bird is like making really loud noises in the background.
Aw, give the burb a microphone that can be on the show. It'd be great. Burbcast.
I mean, I don't know if he'll speak. He's just kind of looking at me.
What are you doing, human?
Yeah. Why are you not taking me out of my cage? I am important. Play with me. But you're kind of going from island to island and seeing how many waves of these creatures you can take on. And there's tons of different enemies, and they're all so varied in what they do. Some of them are sort of bug-like and they float around. Some of them are like really giant, kind of gross-looking bugs that break apart into tinier bugs. Some of them are almost like snakes or dragons that peek up from the ground and have scales that almost shield them. You can also place down turrets. My favorite character, I'm going to say, in this game is Babyface, which is this sort of machine that they drew a face on for whatever reason that comes and picks you up from the island when you're done and brings you down to a new one and then gives you tips in between the islands. There's also a huge story in the background. You're like a rookie, you showed up late to the first like training mission, you're kind of shit. You don't know what you're doing, but for whatever reason, the main army guy's like, I hate you because you're late, but you've got something in you, something that I'm looking out for. And he kind of shows you off to the other person in charge, the other sort of major. And that person's like, why? You're a rookie, you know nothing, you have one weapon, why do I have to deal with you? And you're trying to prove yourself and also save your hometown. It was quite unique and very beautiful, and I really enjoyed playing it.
I really like the kind of monochrome style to it. From watching because I was checking out your videos yesterday, and from watching your playthrough of Original Journey, it's got some slight platformy elements to it, but not so much that it's a platformer, that if you didn't like platformers, because there are weird people that don't like platformers, like Alex, wouldn't get into. But yeah, I thought it was really interesting. I'm kind of I see it and go, oh, this element's kind of like this game, this element's kind of like this game, but I can't quite place my finger on something to compare it to, which is good, because there's too many games where you look at it and you're like, oh, that's a Dark Souls, oh, that's a Street Fighter, you know. So yeah, it looks really, really interesting.
And I only touched like the surface of it. There seems to be so much more in it as well, and it's pretty new, so it's currently on sale on Steam because it just came out. I think there's also bosses as well, which is something I didn't quite get to, but I'm really excited to at some point destroy.
So what sense, well, if you've not reached them, I don't know why I'm asking. I was going to say, in what kind of sense do you take down enemies? Is it just kind of shooting, or...
So you can place down turrets, and then the turrets will automatically shoot, but you don't have a lot of time to set up your level. So I've played a lot of games where you set up turrets, and then you hit, like, start, and then it counts down, and then the wave comes. But this one, you're put right in the middle of the wave, and you can sort of really quickly set down turrets if you're fast enough. And then you have a variety of different weapons. I only unlocked 3, but I don't like shotguns. I only unlocked 2 good ones, and then you can use those, but you can run out of ammo, so if you run out of ammo, you kind of have to rely more on your turrets, which don't run out of ammo. So yeah, it's a bit of like turret placing, a bit of shooting.
Yeah, I really like the look of it. It almost looks like the landscape and the setting almost looks like a fantasy setting, but then all the units almost look like something out of sci-fi, and I really like that mix. Like, because you're kind of like the little blobby things that go there. Anyway, that's my most accurate description ever. Blobby things.
It's pretty accurate.
I was trying to remember, there's a point-and-click game where you play as a robot, and I think it might have been called Monochromia or something very similar to that. But that's kind of the style it reminds me of. Very, very bleak with technology just kind of crammed everywhere, like almost like a junk. But yeah, I really like that style.
But you know what? With this one, like monochrome and like dark games can almost feel like menacing or sad or spooky. But this one, even though it's monochrome, I don't think that's not what it gives me the feeling of. Like, it's still the way it's done. It's very fantasy and kind of uplifting, like, even though it's all kind of grayish and brownish colors and subdued.
Yeah, it's very much like that, especially when it comes to like fighting. So if I go out and I fight in the same area twice and I go through the same platforms, there will be some of my teammates on the platform, and after I've like saved them again, they're like, oh, thank you so much for your for the reinforcement, you're amazing. And it's like, yeah, no worries mate. But yeah, I didn't find it to be a very sad game despite looking very grey.
Okay, cool. So that's the original Journey. We're gonna take a break from games, but don't worry, we're gonna come back to them, and I'm gonna talk about something I'm super excited about. Or I was super excited about, and now I'm kind of a bit chill. I'm a bit more chilled down. Yes, Coleman, come on, get it out of your system.
Expelliarmus.
Yes, you're a wizard, Harry, and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
You're a wizard, Coleman.
Yes, he is a wizard.
Am I? I do have a Patronus.
It's a basset hound.
It's a basset hound!
Yes.
I'm so excited by that. I love basset hounds.
Well, I've done that Patronus test twice, and I can't remember the second time.
We were literally on BRB UK, because Tim was off to go off with you to see Harry Potter, we were all taking the mick, really, going, I've seen Harry Potter. Ah. And then I went, oh, my Patronus is a Basset Hound. Immediately, Dan's like, oh, how do you find out your Patronus? Where do I have to go? So we're all looking up our Patronuses before the show.
Oh, God, you should have done that on the air. That would have been funnier. I think.
We didn't, I didn't know it was going to devolve into that, so.
Yeah, basically occupy the whole episode. Yeah, that's how it usually happens with you guys. But anyway, I went to see Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, which is a play, and it's kind of the 8th Harry Potter story. And a while back, because it's been going on for over a year now, and the first day that the play was on for the public, they also released the published scripts of the play, so of course I got that and I read it, like, on the same day and probably in the same hour, because huge Harry Potter fan, what can I tell you? But yeah, I've had the tickets for the show for over a year now, and I've been looking forward to it. It's very interesting because we were going with the two perspectives to watch it, so I was the one who knew where the story was going, because I obviously read the script, and I was just excited how it is going to be produced on the stage. And then we had Tim, who managed to stay completely spoiler-free and didn't even know anything that's going to be in that play, and went there to watch it for the first time and experience everything for the first time. And both of us walked away really, really impressed. No, I don't exactly remember what I said about the play overall when I was picking it for the first time, but it definitely has some problems and some logic problems and some sequencing problems and some problems that I think they like shoehorned a couple of characters in just because they needed them for the story. They don't have that much backing for it in the actual books, but it doesn't matter. The play itself is so great. It is... The production value of this is amazing, and the stuff they do in the, I mean, a lot of the stuff they have is kind of like magic tricks, but they're not magic tricks. They're things you try to pass along as magic, but sometimes you can see how they're done. But the thing is, even if you can see how they're done, it still looks really cool. What I loved it is that they always play with the balance of what is lit and what is in the dark, and a lot of their magic is kind of disappears in the dark part of the stage. So for example, they had the whole fighting sequence, which was beautifully choreographed, but it was basically two actors fighting, and then there would be people hiding in the dark that would help them kind of like swirl around in the air and do barrel rolls and to kind of fight, because they would lift them up in the dark and carry them. And I'm guessing if you were sitting, because we were sitting slightly top and to the right, so some of that was visible to us. I'm guessing if you're sitting right, like staring it right in front of you, you won't see any of this stuff at all. And that looked really, really great, and just technically was amazing. And there were also some other tricks that I didn't even know how they did that. I guess they just appeared somewhere from the ground.
It was magic, Alex.
It was actual magic.
They did the Wingardium Leviosa and they waved the chopstick around and off they went into the sky.
The chopstick? You call ones chopsticks?
That's only because Tim was getting ready to go to the show, and I was doing some stuff in the kitchen. Went, Tim, you forgot something, and ran to the door and handed him a chopstick. Your wand. You didn't take it though.
I'm
really
surprised.
Funny.
Yeah, I wonder why.
But yeah, I don't really want to spoil the show because I think it's so worth seeing. But I will say that one of my favorite part about it, and I don't think it's much of a spoiler to say they're in there, but there are Dementors in the show.
Ooh.
And man, they've done so beautifully. Everything about they're so floaty and ethereal, and the way they move, it was just, there's lots of really fun, like exciting tricks that happened during the show. But the Dementors, especially the first time you see them, I was like, oh my god, there's a Dementor! There is a Dementor! Yeah, it was really good. It's a play. So all the acting is a tiny bit exaggerated, I'm not gonna lie. But you get used to it, and at some point you get really into it, and I want to do a shout out for one actor, which I don't have a book with me, so bear with me while I Google.
Excellent.
I've not really seen much Harry Potter. The first Harry Potter, like, we weren't allowed to watch Harry Potter as a kid.
What?
I grew up in, like, a very religious household, and Harry Potter was witchcraft, so
that
it was,
makes sense.
Banned. So the first time I saw Harry Potter, I think I saw Sorcerer's Stone inside the basement of my cousin's, or my great-grandparents' house with my cousin, and we were so afraid that we were all going to get caught, but we were all watching it together, so we'd all be punished. So it felt somehow safer.
Wow.
Yeah, so I watched Harry Potter then, and then was just like, oh, I'm not allowed to watch this, and I don't care. So I missed the Harry Potter sort of train of people who love it. And then I recently saw the Harry Potter movie that doesn't have Harry Potter in it, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
That was okay.
And I thought that was quite nice. I really enjoyed like the mythical creatures. I really like animals, and I liked all the mythical creatures.
Man. I love Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I'll be on the record saying that I like Harry Potter movies. They're okay, and I enjoy watching them, but I don't love them. They're not what I love about the franchise.
No, you do.
No, I do not. But Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, I just thought they were done so very well. Yes, so that shout out that I was Googling is I want to give like a special shout out to an actor who was playing Scorpius Malfoy, which is Samuel Blenken, because he was an absolute standout. He was so good. Like, just played that character very well. And I even knew that because I had friends going in who went to see this performance before I did, and they came back and they were like, that actor who plays Scorpius Malfoy, he's so good, and he truly is just really, really outstanding. But
Would
pretty
you say he's a master thespian?
But all the other actors did very well as well. I do have to say is that some of the way some of the characters performed is not how I imagined other characters to be, but it's not their fault because obviously we imagine different characters in a different way in our heads. But the actress who played Ginny Weasley was a bit offbeat to me. That's not how I imagined her, and kind of similar with Hermione Granger. But you know, you can't do anything about it. They see their character that way and they play it. It's not really them doing it wrong. It's just them doing it their own way. So yeah, there we go. I highly recommend it. I would say the tickets are quite expensive, especially since this is a play at 2 parts.
Isn't it like sold out for years as well?
Not necessarily. What I say, they do Friday 40s. So I think every Friday at 1 p.m. on the website that I will research and put the link in the description below, you can kind of just enter, and it's a prize draw, and you get where I think each ticket is £15, so overall you would pay like £30 for both parts. And they give like really good front seats and all that stuff, and that's for the performance for that week. So it's always worth trying to go and try to get your tickets through that way. I kind of kept forgetting about it, and then I got the tickets, so I kind of stopped participating in that. But I know people that got the tickets for The Cursed Child through Friday 40s for like many, many times.
Okay.
So it is possible. It's not just some random websites trying to grab lots of tickets and then sell them on the, on the expensive side. I don't actually think they can actually do that because you have to have your proper name on the ticket if you do that. So probably they can't even do that. But yeah, so I really recommend watching it because the production value is then really beautiful, like all the crazy magic tricks that I wish I could talk to you about, but I don't because spoilers. But yeah, I could just be lyrical about this play all the time long.
I'd be interested to see if the success of this and the money it brings in, if this kicks off like a trend of movie, book, property, big pop culture properties then becoming theatre plays, because I thought this was going to start with Spider-Man was it Turn Off the Light or something? But that failed horribly, and it was massively expensive, and it ran into debt before it shut down, and all these kind of problems. But the Harry, I genuinely thought the same thing was going to happen with Harry Potter, and it seems to be doing really, really well. So,
well, yeah, it's moved to Broadway now, I think.
Yeah,
as well.
So I'm wondering if that kicks off like a new trend of big pop culture projects on theatre. That'd be really interesting to see.
Well, I mean, you do know that a lot of Disney movies are now musicals, right?
That is a very good point. Yeah, Lion King's been running on a while. I'll shut up.
Yeah, since I was like a child. Like,
so I don't entirely think it's revolutionary, to be honest with you.
Oh, I thought
it's a unique concept.
I thought I had a
completely.
moment. Yeah, you're right. Disney's been doing it a while. They've got Aladdin running now, haven't they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't know how good that is. They have like 3 songs in there, but
okay. I just move on.
Okay, moving back to games, we have another one, which is not Agents of Mayhem, as we discovered when we were writing this agenda.
Probably for the best.
Yes.
I've not heard good things.
So another game I've been playing this week has been Juanito Arcade Mayhem. So it's a game that sort of throws back to loads of loads of retro games from before I was born, because I'm quite young. So basically you're this character who's sort of hand-drawn, and you are hoping to fix all of your old retro games. They've been sort of attacked by a virus. Viruses seem kind of a theme for this week in the games that I've played. They've been attacked by these viruses, and you have to defeat them to like cleanse your video game so that you can then play it. So it takes like really well-known arcade games and then adds these blob creatures. You sort of fall into the screen and you have to shoot them. They break into more blob creatures. They sort of bounce and have a weight to them. But you're doing it, in the middle of Tetris, where Tetris blocks are falling on you and you can't get hit by them. And then a Donkey Kong-like creature called Terrence can appear and give you sort of some advice and then rain lots and lots of Tetris pieces onto you and tell you good luck. But yeah, it was a really, really quite a good mashup of lots of games. I played through quite a bit of it. I plan on playing some more with some of my housemates who actually know quite a bit about the retro games that it's based upon. But they also have like a breakout level, so you play through like 10 levels that sort of progressively get more and more challenging of a specific game, and then you defeat a boss, and then you go on to like a whole new game. That game's cleansed and you're on to a new one. So they have like Breakout, they have Tetris, they look to have sort of a Pac-Man-esque game. There's tons in it. There's one weapon, but you can get upgrades for it so that it can then shoot a lot more. You can get hearts. There's dancing people in the background that drop more power-ups and stuff.
Yeah, I was taking a look at the art style myself, and instantly I spot like Pac-Man and Tetris and Kung Fu and BC Kid or Bonk if you're from the US, and like that's enough to sell me on the game. How much is this?
It's £6.99.
Okay, I'm picking that up.
And you can play multiplayer with your friends as well. So that's what I'm going to be doing.
I can have friends?
Yeah, well, if you have friends and they live at your house, you can grab 2 Xbox controllers and do local co-op.
Okay, that sounds brilliant. Yeah, sold.
I just found a perfect gift of Terrence and Russia stomping as Tetris blocks are falling down from the sky.
Nice.
I just need to save that now, because I think we've got our cover sorted for this week.
It was just really, really well made and really fun. And once you, as soon as you start getting sick of Tetris, because you've been playing Tetris level after level, they switch you to just a new game, and you can move on from that game. You also have, a little alien blob character who gives you advice and also tells you that you suck when you die. And I enjoyed that character. I died a lot, so it told me I sucked a lot. But it was like, you suck, but you could probably do better. Okay.
Aww, that's quite adorable.
I mean, that was like the 80s mantra of video games anyway. You're gonna suck, but you'll probably get better.
And the blobs that are coming down at you are consistent through each different game. However, they do get more challenging. So they start to have helmets on them, so you have to hit them a couple times to crack the helmet, or they shoot back at you, or they drop sort of bigger bombs towards you. So they do get more and more intense as well.
Nice. So I'm guessing the Juanito is the main character then?
Yes. And he does little dance scenes after he's completed the level. He does little dance moves before disappearing. I don't know. It was just a really great touch.
That was a thing that used to happen a lot in games, and that seems to have disappeared. I remember on the Amiga especially, I play Soccer Kid and he'd do a little dance and ball tricks and stuff at the end of a level to celebrate, or Sonic could have his little pose, or Kirby would dance, and that seems to have gone. How come the dude in Dark Souls doesn't do a little dance at the end?
Yeah, what's up with that?
More dancing in video games.
Yeah, I need my old tropes back.
Yeah.
I'm lost and alone in a scared land.
I vote for less shooting, more dancing in video games. How about that?
Well, we could just play Buster Groove after this. We should totally play Buster Groove after this. Alex, let's play Buster Groove after this.
You asked for it, Alex.
I know. I did bring that on myself, to be fair. Okay, now let's move on to what Coleman played this week.
Hey.
And while he talks about you, I'm gonna take about 10-minute nap. There you go, Coleman.
That's a bit harsh.
Wow.
I know, but it's a platformer.
It's not even going to take me that long. Okay, so I'm playing Nidhogg 2. I don't know if either of you have played Nidhogg before.
I've played Nidhogg.
Nidhogg's brilliant, isn't it?
It is quite fun. It is simple looking, but it's genius. It's one of those games that I suck at, so everyone walks by me and I'm not alive very much. But I very much enjoy it.
I'm the same. I kind of play arcade mode, and then I win, and then I'll play against someone else and go, oh, I suck at this.
Yes.
So if you don't know Nidhogg, it's a kind of 2D side-scrolling fencing simulator, I guess. Mm-hmm. It was quite a big, because this one indicated in 2013, and then it became one to watch for... Even before that, when it was initially shown off a few years before, it became the one to watch, and then it finally released in 2014, and then it's come to PC, PS4, Vita, Mac, all this kind of stuff. it just quickly became this groundswell of, this is a very simple looking game, but boy, it's fun to play with your friends. And the whole basis is you've got to kind of semi-platform, semi-side scroll from a middle point across different screens until you get to the end point, and the end point is where you, if you win a game, you win the game by feeding yourself to the Nidhogg. That's the reward. So there's a new game now. So this one was done kind of an 8-bit style, and the new one's more 16-bit, 32-bit type thing. So it looks like you've jumped from the Nintendo to the SNES. And a lot of people criticised it for the art style, but the gameplay's pretty much the same. I quite like this new art style. Rather than it being just blocky people, they've got faces, they semi-emote, they scream when you stab them and stuff. Initially, when it was shown off, it was shown with these kind of yellow characters, and it looked like Homer Simpson just constantly getting murdered over and over again. Yeah, this time they've got faces and eyes and hair and clothes, and the backgrounds are just, the backgrounds looked really good in the previous game, all the settings and stuff, but they look absolutely gorgeous now. They set you on kind of rainbow bridges and floating spaceships and pirate ships, and there's a really interesting one where you're fighting through a pipe, and when you get to the end screen, instead of just sort of running and then the Nidhogg grabs you, you kind of come out the pipe and float up into out through the sea, and then the Nidhogg grabs you that way. But other than that, like, it's the same game pretty much. It's just what they've added to it, and this time it's not just rapiers you're using anymore. You've got broadswords and daggers and bows and just different weapons for you to play around with, which creates this new element of, so you usually, my big thing would be either jumping in the sky and kicking someone in the head, then stabbing them, or rolling and then jumping up and stabbing them. This time that roll mechanic can be turned into like a sliding kick, so you can knock someone down and then stamp on their head till they die.
The best way to kill someone, stamping on their head.
Yeah, it is really satisfying, because if you have that moment of you knock a sword out of someone's hand, or they knock a sword out of your hand, quite often I found myself like, someone will swipe the sword out of my hand, and then they'll throw their sword at me if I keep my distance, so then I can duck and then just run up and kick the holy hell out of them till they're dead. And it's really satisfying doing that, stomping someone into the floor with this kind of visceral, colourful blood spraying everywhere. But then you've got the new weapons, like with the bow, seems quite simply, they fire an arrow at you, you can deflect the arrow, but if you swipe the arrow, you then swipe it back at them. So then, I actually quite hate the the bow, but I've seen people use it quite effectively. My whole thing with the bow is, I'll throw it at someone, and when they're trying to deflect it, I'll leg sweep them and start stamping on them again. It's my favourite mechanic in this game now. But yeah, if you liked, it's not really too much I can go into. If you played Nidhogg or you've seen Nidhogg, then you understand what Nidhogg is. Nidhogg 2 is the same, but with this massive graphical update and more weapons. And I intend to do a lot of local battles with this game and really annoy people with it.
It looks to me like a quite elevated version of Nidhogg, and that's what I thought from the start. It's a very elevated version, and a lot of people I spoke to as well said, like, ooh, the art style is like really creepy, especially the worm, but it's a giant worm that eats people. Like, it looks great.
Yeah, I love the idea of the Nidhogg. It's, just in general, like the idea of the game is for the honor to sacrifice yourself to the Nidhogg. That's a brilliant idea.
I've seen Nidhogg at every, like, oh, not every, like 50% of every party I've gone to after a games event. So I'm really interested to see if Nidhogg 2 will start cropping up at all of the after parties as well.
Yeah, it's usually Nidhogg or Speedrunner, I find at different shows. But yeah, if you played Nidhogg and you enjoyed it, then definitely pick up Nidhogg 2. I believe it's pretty cheap at the moment. There's a PS Plus discount going on at the moment. If not, I'm pretty sure then it's going to turn up to PlayStation Plus in the future anyway. So if you're a PlayStation player, you might want to wait on that. No Vita port, sadly. I really enjoyed playing this on the Vita, and because with the Vita, they made a 2-player co-op system for the Vita, which is insane. Where one person's using the directional pad and one person's using the face buttons, and you've got to kind of share this tiny object between you. And I took my Vita down to loading when Nidhogg first came to the Vita and played it that way, and it was quite fun. Yeah, I don't think they're doing that port this time, sadly.
That's actually pretty sad, because this is the constant thing I keep hearing nowadays. I wish there was a port for Vita. Oh, yeah. It's not there.
Vita ports are becoming scarcer and scarcer, sadly. Unless you're in Japan.
Then, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. This is one game Alex won't play.
Yeah, you will.
Nothing against the game. Just not my type of thing.
I'm going to make you play it.
You'll have to. It'll be one of the featured games at events. I mean...
Exactly. You got to get good, scrub. I've got to train you up for these after parties.
Get good,
stuff.
get good.
You got to get good.
Get good.
Get good.
Get good. Coleman, I'd rather dance it out with you than play a platformer.
We're going to do both.
Uh-oh.
And then we're going to go to the arcade and play Dance Dance Revolution.
Why did I invite you on the show again? Remind me?
Because you love me.
No, that's because you were available.
The truth of it all.
Oh.
It's okay, I do love you.
Yay.
Yay. I'm gonna regret this later while I'm dancing in public.
On your own?
I don't know. On my own, with you, whichever one it is. It's not gonna be great. Anyway. This are all topics for our show. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of 102 of BigRedBarel Geek Speak. We have some lovely shout-outs to do to some lovely, lovely people. And actually, we have an even spread throughout pretty much our all social media, which I quite enjoy, guys. That's pretty nice. So on forums, we've got Stingo, Stealthy Joe, and Frozen454. On Twitter, we have Wheel Drive at Wheel Drive 93. On YouTube, we have Oh, It's Ed.
Oh,
and
it's
on Facebook.
Ed.
I was like, oh, it's Ed.
Oh, it's Ed. I like it. It's got so many levels.
I know, right? Just one name. Multifaceted. And on Facebook, we have Zach Wood, who sent me an article about man becoming an elf via multiple plastic
I wonder
surgeries.
why. I wonder why you saw that article and thought of you.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about that.
Am I going to find you, like, cutting sections of Tim's ears off to make them pointy?
I mean, I already said I'll do that at some point.
Oh, God.
Well, first step is shave his head.
Yep.
And then second is sort out his ears.
Okay.
And then teach him some magic. But he's already there, because...
He's got his chopstick.
Yeah, he's got his chopstick. So we're
The one chooses the wizard.
Yes. Well, technically, he needs to have a staff, like a proper elven mage, but Chopstick will do.
We could get several chopsticks
Tape
from different
together.
takeaways and then tape them together like that episode of Friends.
And poke the big naked fat man.
Yeah, there you go. Friends reference on the show. I think it's the first one.
Yay!
It took 102 episodes.
Yeah.
But we got there.
That's pretty disappointing, actually.
We got there, Closet Friends fans. Don't worry.
Yeah, okay, and if you guys would like to chat with us and hence get the shout out, you can do so on the forums at BigRedBarel.com, on the post for the episode of Geek Speak, or for any episode of Geek Speak. I keep an eye on them. I'm a vigilant podcasting Geek Speak
Using
mummy.
that subscribe button, yo.
Yo, 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 it's your girl Alex, and she asked you to use that subscribe button. Woo! I don't know. I started as a wrestling, now I went into
Now
Yo-Yo
you're trying
Boy.
to be Dan?
I don't know.
Are you attempting
don't
to get
try to-
good?
Don't try to be Dan, Alex.
Yeah, I'm
He's
really...
not a good man. He's a bad, bad man, but inside he wants to be good. He's just not there yet.
No, clearly not. Anyway, where I was. Alright, I'm getting good. You can also talk to us at Twitter, at BigRedBarel.com. Using the hashtag GeekSpeak helps us to find your tweets. You can also speak to us directly. I'm at DustyTulip_.
I'm at Dammit Coleman.
I'm at Jupiter_Hadley.
You can also listen to our podcast on YouTube, because that's right, you wonderful weirdo YouTube podcast listeners, you can do that. They are on BigRedBarel TV. There'll be a link in the description below, and they come out straight after the normal podcast episodes on
Sometimes.
your podcast feeds. Sometimes, depends when Coleman uploads them, but they're there, and you can watch them.
Sometimes it takes a while because I'm at work. Yep.
Yep. You can also chat to us on Facebook, facebook.com/BigRedBarel. There is also BigRedBarel Gamer Nights, where you can play games with the BigRedBarel community, and it's all fun and games. And as always, I know there aren't a lot of you that still use iTunes, but if you do, iTunes review would be greatly appreciated. Whatever we deserve, we'll take it. Now, and also a reminder that Tuesday is a Tuesday, and on Tuesday we have Tabletop Tuesday. And during
Seems
that
apt.
table... Say what?
Seems apt.
Yep. Every week we have a feature game, and whoever plays that feature game in the night and gets entered into a prize draw to win a copy of that game by the end of the night. The feature game for this week is... Coleman?
Gang up?
Gang Up.
Ah, remembered.
Is it
Well
Gang Up?
done. Yeah.
Because I thought I saw a picture on... I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. I thought I saw a picture on Instagram of Bears vs. Babies, though.
Oh, that's a couple of things that we've been playing, so
That was just someone brought that.
I got excited and was like, that's going to be the featured game, and I'm out of town.
But Game Up's good too. Gang Up's good as well.
Now, basically, on Tabletop Tuesday Instagram page, I try to post, like, all the pictures from all the events, so if someone's playing pretty much anything, I'm there, like, paparazzi, hiding behind the tables and chairs and taking the shots. With my camera, not the shots of drinks, although I may do that occasionally, but no, in that case, I meant with the camera, and then playing games, and then put them on Instagram just to show the, what people are up to these days. And yeah, we played Bears vs. Babies, and that was crazy. I had, what was it? It's like a multi-penis head monster thing.
Doesn't that game come with a condom?
Yes, it does.
It says don't use this so the babies don't win.
Exactly, it does. That game is, for anyone who doesn't know, it comes from developers of Exploding Kittens, so the humor and an artwork are on that level.
That's one. The artist is from the Oatmeal,
Yes.
which is an online webcomic, which is brilliant. And then I believe it's two other guys that used to work for Xbox Live.
Just two other randoms.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should really know their names, but we don't.
I mean, I loved Exploding Kittens, so
Yeah.
that's the praise enough.
Dare I say, I like Berries vs. Babies more.
I haven't played it yet, but I'm really looking. As soon as that hits public release, then I'm gonna have to pick myself up a copy.
Yep.
And probably keep it at loading.
Gang Up looks pretty cool too.
It does,
It's
yeah.
like
Sorry.
gangster crime lords. That looks quite interesting.
Oh yeah, I remember the books now. Yes. Sorry, there's a look, guys, come on.
We can
you don't know
backstab
the situation. You don't know the situation in our flat. We've got a lot of Tabletop Tuesday games, and they're all in boxes in our living room that I almost always trip over on the way somewhere.
Have you ever seen Raiders of the Lost Ark? The warehouse at the end? It's kind of like that. That's Alex and Tim's flat of board games.
Yeah, so there's a lot of board games, right? So I can't remember how every single board game for Tabletop Tuesday looks like. Because there's a lot of them, and pretty much all of them are great. But there you go. So yeah, that's Tabletop Tuesday. What am I forgetting? Oh, I'm forgetting Cookies and Booze, where me and my friend Julia stream board games?
Stream board games.
Oh, that's gonna go well. We stream video games badly, and it's usually every Sunday, but occasionally some other Sundays. It actually might change. We need to pick a better date because Julia has to trudge in the middle of a night to the other side of London on a Sunday night. That's not fun.
You do it on a Saturday night, and then once you finish the stream, you have a party stream. So you finish the game, and then you just carry on with the party with the people
plan.
in Twitch.
I'll run pass by her.
Good idea.
But yeah, currently we're playing Mass Effect Andromeda, which surprisingly is going well for us. And I feel really bad because on Twitter a couple of days ago, someone was asking me whether to get Mass Effect Andromeda. And as a Bioware fan, I said, yes, but be aware of the stuff. And they did get it on a discount, but they got an Xbox copy, and apparently it is super duper glitchy, like glitchier than anything I have experienced, and I'm really sorry, Rob Evans, because it was never that glitchy for me.
Hey Rob, I got a spare PS4 copy if you want.
Yeah, if you want a PS4 copy, Coleman will send it your way.
You want to go for the PC copy, I believe, if you can.
I don't know, really, it just never had that many glitches on PS4 at all. Or never even, like, he said his game crashed 15 times. I've played 120 hours of that game, never crashed once.
Well, I only play the online component, not the single player, so the online stuff at first had a lot of problems, but it got a lot better pretty quickly, and that seems to be what they're focusing on and fixing mainly.
Yeah, that's the only thing they're patching pretty much nowadays. Anyway.
Hopefully it'll get better.
Rest in peace, Mass Effect Andromeda. I will weep for you in my little tiny corner.
Put it in the Ark. Is it the... No, not the Ark. Damn it. Put it in the big warehouse where they store the Ark. There you go. That's where the Mass Effect license is now.
Okay.
If you haven't seen Indiana Jones, this is a crap reference.
I've not seen Indiana Jones. I don't know what you're talking about.
I've not seen Indiana Jones. I don't know what you're talking about.
There's... Right, this is the end of the film, so I should shut up. Let's watch Indiana Jones and dance and play Nidhogg.
You guys have a busy day coming up.
We have a busy weekend.
Yeah, plans are happening. Okay, well, thank you very much for listening. If I forgot to mention something, I'm sure I'll remember while I edit and get angry at myself, but there you go. This has been episode 102 of BigRedBarel Geek Speak. Jupiter, thank you so much for coming on. It's been really fun chatting to you about board game jams. Board game jams? Video game jams. Tabletop Tuesday messes up everything.
It's alright.
In the good way.
You can make board games for most game jams.
Ooh.
You can make print and plays.
Let's do that.
Do it.
What, you want to add another thing to do on our very long list of topics to do today?
Yeah, we're going to enter a board game jam.
Ah, there we go.
Most game jams allow board game entries, especially ones ran on itch.
Excellent.
But yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was really fun.
Welcome to the chaos that is Geek Speak.
Glad to be here.
Okay, so I have been Butts.
I have been Coleman.
I've been Jupiter.
And we bid you goodbye.
Bye. Didn't thank
Butts.
me for coming on the show.
Huh?
Didn't thank me for coming on the show.
You're here all the time.
Yeah, fair enough.
You're the constant, what's his face?
Annoyance.
Yes.
Pain in the ass.
You and your ears are quite welcome.
For the podcasting goodness that you just heard.
Why not roll on over
To BigRedBarel.com.
for more podcasts?
News, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet. BigRedBarel.com.
Scorpius
Alex is
Malfoy.
googling. She'll
After-
probably cut this point out of the show, so
No.
we'll make some music.
No.
Doop-a-doop-a-doop.
Sorry, guys. I meant to prepare for that, and I
Googling
forgot.
Harry Potter magic peoples. Magic peoples. Magic peoples. Magic peoples. Magic peoples. Magic peoples. Magic peoples.